Are you a parent of a youth athlete between the ages of 10 and 18 and you feel that they are not competing to the best of their abilities? And if so, this video is going to be for you. Now, sports parents, have you ever used phrases like mental toughness, focus, or confidence when you speak to your athlete about their compete level? Have you ever asked to stop and ask, what do these terms really mean? But more importantly, how do they actually apply to athletic development? Now, if you don't understand them, how in the world is your athlete going to understand them when you talk to them about it? Now, have you ever experienced your athlete struggling in their competition from a lack of confidence or anxiety? Or do they get emotionally deregulated after a mistake and you just don't know how to help them? Well, I specialize in teaching athletes skills about how they can build up their confidence and overcome their mental challenges so that they can compete to the best of their abilities and have increased enjoyment in sports. Now, hello everyone, my name is Brian McSparron. I'm a mental sports and performance coach, and welcome to this YouTube series for sports parents, where I'm going to break down some of the most important terms related to the mental game of sport. Now, if you have an athlete between the ages of 10 and 18, this series will be for you. Now, this series is part 2 of speaking the language of confidence as it relates to the mental game of sport. Now, if you missed that first video to the link is going to be listed below in the description. And in that video, I discussed terms like confidence, confidence boosters, confidence killers, the inner critic, and confidence journal, and how they relate to the athlete's participation in sport. Now, in this video today, we're going to discuss some more important terms as it relates to confidence and self-belief. Now, the reason why these words are so important is for parents and coaches to understand when an athlete is struggling in their sport, why they are struggling, and what could be the reasons, and then have a plan to help support your athlete. Now, when you see your athlete underperform in their game, it is not because of their physical skills. It's because their minds are allowing them to believe that they cannot succeed, which causes doubt in their performance. And like I mentioned in the first video, is that the mind drives the physical. So what happens with the athlete when their self-doubt increases? Confidence will decrease. So let's get back to the list of the key words related to confidence and self-belief during athletic performance. But first, if you would like more guidance and tips on raising athletes to have confidence in their game, then check out my book, Raising a Resilient Athlete, to help build unshakable confidence in your athlete for success in sport and in life. Now, I wrote this book to help parents with tips and strategies that they can use to help their athlete on their youth sport journey. Now, for more information, you can get the digital download. Please check out the link in the description below. Now, when I coach athletes about their mental game, I usually focus on 3 components. That's building up their confidence, increasing their focus and concentration. But the first pillar of my coaching program focuses on the mindset. Now, if athletes want to succeed, they have to be competing with the correct mindset. So tonight, let's discuss mindset. Now, mindset, many people just don't understand the relationship of how your athlete's mindset plays a critical and vital role in their overall development. Now, mindset is how a person views a certain situation. Now, according to Carol Dweck, who's a psychologist, she defines mindset as the idea that and here's the key word, our inherent beliefs about our abilities and our intelligence dictates our actions and results. And these beliefs are, in essence, the architects of our own achievements and our shortcomings. And that's from her book, Mindset. Now, the reason this is so important in sports is because athletes will be placed in certain situations, and depending on how they view themselves and that situation will determine if they can achieve success. Let's take for an example a baseball player. A pitcher has a situation where it's bases loaded, it's 1 out, and the team is leading by 1 run in the last inning. Now, the way the pitcher approaches this situation will be related on how he sees and views this situation. If he's thinking, if I give up a hit, we're going to lose the game. Or does he take a different approach and focuses on the next hitter. I have to find a getaway to get him out. Either I gotta strike him out, or maybe I have to try to find to get a double play. Now, if the pitcher is focusing on not giving up a hit, then he's going to pitch passively. He's going to overanalyze his delivery. He's going to try to make that perfect pitch, which is going to result in him either walking the hitter or possibly even giving up a hit. Meanwhile, the other way of looking at the situation is to bear down and attack that hitter one pitch at a time, focusing on hitting his pitching target. Now, in different situations, the mindset of your athlete will determine if they are willing to take that chance and rise to the occasion. Or are they going to give into that situation and they just feel because their opponent is better than them, or they're not good enough, or they're not strong enough, or they're not fast enough, so they don't try. And as a result, their effort is subpar. Now, for many parents, they struggle to watch their kids play because they know and they feel that their kid is better than what they show on the field, than what they are, and they don't put out the effort. Now, the reason for this is directly related to the athlete's mindset. The athlete does not view that effort is going to help them because in their own minds, they're still going to fail. Now, think about how many times your athlete did not step up in their game. How many times do you have conversations about effort and it's just not clicking with them? The reason is they are competing with the wrong mindset, and it has to be addressed and then teach them how to compete with the correct mindset. Now, this leads us into the next two important terms as it relates to mindset. Now, according to Carol Dweck, there are two types of mindsets that we follow. One is a fixed mindset, and the other is a growth mindset. So let's handle both of these terms and see how they affect sports performance. Now, fixed mindset belief is when a person believes that their skills and traits cannot be changed. I can only run this fast. I can only throw this hard. You fill in the blanks. And as a result of this belief, fixed mindset people usually avoid challenges in life. They tend to give up easily, and they become very intimidated or threatened by the success of other people. And they give up a lot, and they come up with a lot of excuses of why something occurred. And if you try to give them feedback, they think that you're attacking them. Now, this is because a fixed mindset person doesn't see intelligence and talent as something that you can develop. It's just something that you are. Now, a growth mindset person, on the other hand, views things in a different prism. Growth mindset is a belief that skills and abilities can be developed through effort, through learning, and through persistence. Growth mindset people see setbacks as a necessary part of the learning process and allows people to bounce back by increasing their motivation. Now, growth mindset people will take challenges. They're open to feedback, and they are very coachable. Now, young athletes, they see their world through a narrow prism, narrow microscope, which focuses really on themselves. So we are generally born with a fixed mindset way of thinking, and we have to be taught how to open up our horizon. What mindset do you see your athlete follow? Now, athletes that continuously compare themselves to others, come up with excuses, or don't give out full effort, well, these qualities are an athlete with a fixed mindset. If your athlete is following a fixed mindset way of thinking, then they will continuously struggle to find success and enjoyment in their game. Now, however, the important thing to know is mindset is a belief system that we can change. Your athletes fix mindset to a growth mindset, but they have to be taught how to. Now, in my coaching program, I focus a lot on explaining mindset development to athletes, and we discuss their athletic performances. And once they see how their performance is being affected just by their sheer beliefs, that's when this light bulb goes off, and they can see that the athlete just had an aha moment in their development. See, if your athlete is competing with qualities of a fixed mindset person, then contact me and let's teach your athlete the qualities of a growth mindset. And you can also check out my online course, which is called The Resilient Athlete, where I will help guide your athlete through the mental game. And more information on the Resilient Athlete course is listed below in the description. Now the next term that we're going to throw around a lot and when describing athletes is the word grit. That player competes with a lot of grit, and it shows. In her book Grit, Angela Duckworth defines grit as a combination of passion and perseverance towards long-term goals and sticking with something even when it's tough. Now in sports, this relates to staying committed and showing up for those training sessions as you fight through injuries, maybe fatigue, or just constantly losing. Talent is important, but it's only going to take you so far in sport. But grit will keep you in the game long enough to realize your full potential, especially when you're not in the mood or your motivation is depleted. Now, I was working with a swimmer once, and she was getting so frustrated because she wasn't getting the time that she wanted, and as a result, she didn't qualify for the finals in her race. She was at a point where she was thinking about quitting altogether. So we discussed her swimming, and we wanted to talk about what was about swimming that she really enjoyed. And as she began to notice all the good things that she enjoyed about swimming, she didn't want to lose that. And so we changed her mindset, and we set up some realistic goals, and at the end of the season, she was able to qualify for 3 state events. She was able to show grit by committing to the process, even when it was hard for her. And all that hard work showed up in her results. Now the final term that I want to discuss as it relates to athletic confidence and self-belief is a delicate phrase. But I see it so many kids struggle with this. And it relates to the athlete's identity beyond sports. Now identity beyond sports means recognizing and developing a young athlete's sense of self that is not solely defined by their role as an athlete. It's understanding that their worth, their purpose, and their confidence should not be dependent entirely on performance, their stats, or athletic success. Now, sports is what an athlete does, but it's not who they are. Now, if youth athletes see themselves as only an athlete, what happens when they get hurt? What happens when they get benched? What happens they're in a slump? What happens if they're just not enjoying their game anymore? An athlete can be proud of how they compete in their sport, but their self-worth cannot be tied to their sport. And for parents, this is so important to understand, especially in this culture of youth sports. Gone are the days of the good old rec ball where you play for your neighborhood or your community teams, where everybody knows everybody and you're able to grow up supporting each other. Now it's about AAU and travel teams. And every weekend you're traveling to a new city and playing with new teams and teammates. It's a constant training, 5 days a week, with specialized coaches who focus primarily on the physical part of the game. Parents, we need to take a break and allow your athlete to do new things. Stay away from focusing on stats, but rather focus on effort. Highlight character, building up the situations during the gameplay. Let them develop new friends outside of different sports. Now here's the important message to understand, is that if a child believes I'm only valuable because I'm a good athlete, they risk emotional burnout. They'll take on low confidence after setbacks and identity loss after their sports career ends. But if they grow up with a broad sense of self, and they can enjoy their sport more and thrive in life beyond it. So this concludes the confidence and self-belief section of the key terms of the mental game. Now I feel it's important for parents to understand that a majority of the issues that athletes struggle with, again, is not related to the physical part of the game, but rather the mental challenges. But a majority of parents don't understand this part of the game. And that's why I'm here to help you understand so that you can help become and support your athlete. So again, check out my book, Raising a Resilient Athlete, and as it sure to open up discussions and reflections of your own beliefs as it relates to sports. And in the next section, I'm going to discuss topics that relate to focus and concentration. So be sure to click on the bell and subscribe so you know when that video comes out. And if you miss video number 1 of the series, you can watch it right here.